Let's talk about the man who lives alone, no girlfriend, no distractions, no softness wrapped in fake affection. Society is built to convince him he's missing out. They push the idea that unless a woman validates you, you're not complete. That without a woman beside you, you're broken. That if you're not in love, something's wrong with you, and most men fall for it. Hook, line, and sinker. They walk into the trap willingly, blind to the chains they're putting on themselves. The truth, that man, the one who chooses to be alone, is the most dangerous version of masculinity in existence. Living alone as a man isn't about isolation. It's not about sadness or being unlovable. It's about full control. It's about reclaiming your space, your energy, and your time. Most men are owned by their relationships. Their daily lives revolve around emotional maintenance, appeasement, and keeping the peace in a house where the masculine edge has been dulled into submission. But when you're alone, you answer to no one, you eat when you want, you train when you want, you sleep when you want, you design your life down to the second, and not a single part of it bends for someone else's mood swings or emotional demands. Society doesn't want men to understand this power. That's why everything around you is designed to keep you weak and needy. Romantic movies, pop music, social media, it's all preaching the same message. You're nothing without love, without her, without someone to complete you. But let me ask you, why do you need completing? Who told you you're half a man without a woman? If you accept that lie, you've already forfeited the game. The man who lives alone doesn't care about those lies. He knows they were built to enslave his focus. He knows weakness often wears a pretty face and a soft voice. He knows that behind the lipstick and smiles, there can be manipulation, distraction, and a slow erosion of purpose. So instead, he chooses the path less walked, the one where silence speaks louder than affection and discipline replaces desire. You walk into his apartment and it's not decorated with soft colors or scented candles. It's not built for comfort, it's built for conquest, a whiteboard with plans, a bookshelf with knowledge, a bench press in the corner. Everything in that space screams one thing, purpose, no wasted time. No wasted energy. Every item has intention. Every detail reflects a mind wired for achievement, and that's what scares people. Because once a man realizes he doesn't need anyone to build an empire, the system loses control over him. He's no longer influenced by guilt trips, emotional blackmail, or the fear of being alone. He wakes up in the dark and hears silence, not rejection. He walks into the gym and doesn't skip a set because someone wants his attention. He locks in for 12 hours of deep work and doesn't care who thinks he's obsessed. He is obsessed, and that obsession is building his freedom. Most men can't last a month like that. You take away their girlfriend and they crumble. They chase the next one, they beg, they scroll through dating apps desperate for a dopamine hit. They need a good morning text just to feel alive. That's how mentally weak they've become. Their masculinity is built on female attention instead of internal strength. But not this man. This man wakes up and the only voice in his head is his own. No one is asking him where he's going, what he's doing, or why he's working so hard. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't justify his grind. He just moves, like a ghost, like a machine. He's locked in on his goals. Whether it's building a business, sculpting his body, learning skills, or stacking wealth, he's on a warpath with no room for detours. He doesn't chase women. He doesn't need to. He chases greatness. He chases progress. The irony, that kind of man eventually has women chasing him, but even then, he doesn't fold, because he knows that most people come into your life to take, not give. And until someone proves they're adding power, not draining it, they get nothing. Alone time is where the real battles happen. That's when the voices in your head get loud. That's when most men run back to comfort. But not him. He embraces it. He sits with the silence and uses it. He confronts his flaws head on. No distractions, no one to blame, no excuses. It's just him and the truth. That's where growth happens. That's where kings are made. He's not out at bars trying to impress strangers. He's not spending money to look cool. He's not wasting energy entertaining people who don't matter. He's in the gym dripping sweat. He's in his room reading for hours. He's meditating, visualizing, strategizing. That's power most men will never understand, because most men never go deep enough into solitude to discover who they really are. Living alone is not a punishment, it's the purification phase. It's where all the weakness burns off, the neediness, the insecurity, the fear. They all get destroyed when a man chooses to stand alone. No hand to hold, no shoulder to cry on, just grit, drive, and clarity. You start noticing things others don't. You stop chasing trends. You stop needing permission. Your mind becomes sharp. Your instincts get stronger. You begin to move different, more precise, more lethal. You become allergic to drama. You see through manipulation instantly. You spot weakness from a mile away, and you guard your energy like a dragon guarding gold. Because now you understand how valuable it is. Every morning you wake up with a decision, build or regress, and no one's watching, so it's all on you. That's when you discover if you're a man or a boy. A boy needs encouragement. A man creates his own momentum. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't need support. He becomes his own army. That's what solitude forges. Unbreakable self-reliance. People will judge. They'll say you're heartless, antisocial, arrogant. Let them, because while they're tangled up in emotional chaos, you're stacking cash, building muscle, and sharpening your mind. While they're fighting with their girlfriends over petty nonsense, you're meditating on your next move. While they're exhausted from late-night drama, you're waking up to dominate the day. You become ruthless with your time. You cut off anything that doesn't serve the mission. Phone calls ignored, invitations to nonsense. Declined, drama, blocked. You don't have time to be emotionally available. You're too busy building the life most people will only dream of. The man who lives alone sees the world for what it really is. He understands that attention is currency, energy is gold, and time is the most valuable asset in the universe. He protects all three like his life depends on it, because it does. Every second wasted is a second stolen from your potential. And let's be real, most modern relationships are not built on mutual growth. They're built on emotional dependence, temporary lust, and manipulation disguised as love. The man who lives alone has seen it all. He's been through it, and now he's done playing games. He's building something permanent, and he won't let momentary pleasure sabotage it. He doesn't need comfort. He thrives in discomfort. While others run from pain, he walks toward it. Because he knows pain builds pressure, and pressure creates diamonds. He doesn't want the easy life. He wants the meaningful life, and meaning is found in struggle, not in cuddles. Most men are scared of that path. They'd rather settle for mediocrity than face themselves. But this man chose the hard way, the lonely road, the disciplined grind, and that choice sets him apart from the crowd. It elevates him, transforms him, makes him untouchable. Every day is a test. And while most men fail it because they need someone to motivate them, this man passes it alone. He pushes himself, corrects himself, builds himself. No one claps. No one watches, but he doesn't need an audience. He's not performing, he's evolving. And one day, when the empire is built, when the wealth is stacked, when the body is chiseled and the mind is razor sharp, people will wonder how he did it. They won't understand the silence, the discipline, the sacrifice, but he will, because while the world was chasing comfort, he was chasing purpose. While others were begging for love, he was earning respect. While others needed company, he found power in being alone, and that's what separates him from the rest. The man who lives alone without a girlfriend, without a woman complicating his path, begins to experience something that most men never even glimpse: clarity. Not emotional clarity, not romantic peace, but razor sharp mental clarity, no distractions, no emotional roller coasters, no one tugging at his focus, just pure, uninterrupted progression. While others are arguing over texts, planning weekend dates, managing someone else's mood swings, he's locked in, focused, dialed in. He knows where he's going, and more importantly, he knows what he must become to get there. This is not about hatred for women, it's not bitterness, it's not fear, it's simply ruthless prioritization of self-mastery. There's a level of solitude that reveals your truest self. You discover who you really are when no one is around to influence you. Most men have never had to sit in a room alone and face themselves. They're always looking for a buffer, someone to talk to, someone to lean on, someone to distract them from their own inadequacy. But this man, the man who chooses to walk alone, stares directly into the abyss of his own potential and decides to climb out of it with his bare hands. His mornings are not soft. They are built like rituals of war. He doesn't wake up to good morning texts or pillow talk. He wakes up to silence. He makes his bed with precision. He drinks water, showers cold, and hits the gym before the world even opens its eyes. While most are still lost in dreams, he's already bleeding in the real fight. The sweat on the gym floor is his proof that he's not like them, proof that his time belongs to him, proof that comfort is the enemy, and he has already declared war on it. See, a man without a woman doesn't just avoid distraction. He invites discomfort. He understands that growth doesn't come from peace. It comes from war, internal war, war with his laziness, war with his weaknesses, war with the parts of him that want to quit. And since no one is around to pamper him, to tell him it's okay to rest, to tell him you're doing enough, he pushes even harder because he knows the truth. No one's coming to save him. No one's going to build the life he wants except him. Most men are not operating at even 30% of their capacity. Why? Because they're too busy serving someone else's emotions. They spend more energy on trying not to upset their girlfriends than they do on building their legacy. They have to ask permission to grind. They negotiate their ambition, but the man who lives alone, he doesn't ask. He doesn't beg for space. He takes it. He owns it. He's not explaining why he works 16 hours a day or why he disappears for weeks into his mission. He doesn't owe anyone softness because he's building a kingdom, not a vacation, and that's the key difference. Men who live alone are not isolated. They are incubated. They're in a chamber where greatness is forged. They take the energy most men pour into fleeting affection and convert it into relentless productivity. They don't celebrate prematurely. They don't chase validation. Their self-worth isn't determined by a pair of lips or a romantic title. It's built brick by brick through action, repetition, and consistent brutality against laziness. This type of man becomes intimidating, not because he tries to be, but because his presence screams, "I don't need you." And when you don't need people, they start to fear you. They know they can't manipulate you. They know you won't collapse if they walk away. That kind of independence is rare. It's dangerous. It's powerful. That's why society tries so hard to convince men they must be coupled to be whole. Because a man who realizes he doesn't need anyone becomes uncontrollable. When he walks into a room, he doesn't seek approval. He assesses, he calculates, he scans for threats and opportunities. There's no softness in his eyes, only fire. People sense it, women sense it, and while some might be drawn to it, most are afraid of it. Because he doesn't fit the mold. He's not the nice guy. He's not begging for attention. He's not looking for someone to complete him. He's already whole, and he's dangerous precisely because of that. That man becomes the standard, not just in how he trains, works, and builds, but in how he carries himself. He doesn't chase energy, he filters it. He doesn't argue, he doesn't explain, he doesn't entertain weak minds. His circle is either full of beasts or empty, and when he does speak, people listen, because his words aren't cheap. They're backed by discipline, by results, by pain endured in silence and battles fought in the shadows. You see, men who live without women in their homes aren't weak, lonely, or broken. They're sharpening their sword. They've realized that the world doesn't reward average. It rewards excellence, and excellence requires sacrifice. Temporary loneliness is the price, and they're willing to pay it. They understand that most people settle too early, too easily. They trade ambition for companionship. They build a comfort zone and call it love. And then they wonder why their lives feel empty despite not being alone. The truth is, the deeper you go into solitude, the more you realize how fragile most people's identities are. They're shaped by their relationships, by their social media, by how many compliments they get. But the man who has built himself in the quiet doesn't need that. His validation is internal. His mission is personal. He's not trying to be understood. He's trying to become undeniable. Every second he spends alone is like a rep in the mental gym. He's building patience, mental toughness, vision. He's not looking for quick hits of dopamine. He's building a legacy, and when the time comes, when the foundation is unshakable, maybe he'll let someone into that world. But they'll have to match the energy. They'll have to enhance the empire, not distract from it. They'll have to bring discipline, not drama. Peace, not problems. Until then, he keeps moving forward, alone. And not only does he get used to it, he starts to prefer it, because the results speak louder than any relationship ever could. His body is carved from discipline, his mind is a weapon, his bank account reflects his work ethic. And his future, it's unstoppable. People will call him extreme, let them, because extreme discipline breeds extreme results. People will call him cold, let them, because emotionless execution wins wars. People will say he's lonely, let them, because being alone and being lonely are two different things. He's not lonely, he's focused, he's not empty. He's full of drive, he doesn't crave love, he craves mastery. He's not anti-woman, he's pro-mission, and until the mission is complete, everything else is background noise, because he knows the truth. Every second you spend distracted is a second stolen from your destiny. He's not willing to pay that price, not now, not ever, so he keeps his circle tight and his focus tighter. He walks through the world like a lion among house cats. They don't understand his silence. They don't get why he's not partying, dating, chasing. They think he's missing out, but in reality, he's watching them waste years they'll never get back. He's watching them trade legacy for lust, and he's taking notes, because when the smoke clears, he'll be the one standing. You don't build empires with divided attention. You don't become elite with constant emotional turbulence. You don't become great by needing someone to hold your hand. You rise by walking alone, fighting alone, bleeding alone. And only then, only when you've proven you can carry the full weight of your future without help, do you earn the right to choose who walks beside you. Until that moment, every distraction is a test. Every temptation is a trap. And every excuse is an enemy. The man who lives alone has seen through it all, and that's why he's winning, not because he's lucky, not because he's gifted, but because he made a decision most men are too weak to make. He chose solitude over softness, purpose over pleasure, war over comfort, and in the end, that choice makes all the difference. So understand this. Solitude is not a curse, it's a crucible. It's where real men are forged. While the world chases comfort, approval, and temporary companionship, you build. You sharpen, you rise, because the man who walks alone answers to no one, needs nothing, and fears nothing. That man becomes unstoppable. He doesn't chase the world bends to him. And when he finally steps out of the shadows, he doesn't ask for a seat at the table. He builds the table. That's the power of a man who dares to live alone.